Welcome to WKRP Montrose, a radio station masquerading as a podcast about Montrose, Colorado and the Western Slope, recording live from the Clearnetworx studio in downtown Montrose, Colorado. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode, and I did it again, of clearly interesting people with Clearnetworx and WKRP.
What did you do again?
Well, I immediately went to the shot that we have the guest on, so there's no surprise. There's no surprise element for you to get to know who we're going to talk to. Casey.
Here's the thing. I don't want people out there, whether it's Clearnetworx employees or WKR people, to think that this is part of the shtick. The mistakes that we make.
Yeah.
And when I say we, I'm being very generous there. But these mistakes are not part of like a shtick thing. They get made.
I shouldn't talk about the hours of pre-production we had before this, where you walked me through like every bit that you're going to do.
Nobody is going to believe there was 5 minutes of pre-production. Actually, we have more pre-production in terms of the little bio that Rebecca sends over.
I think this is a job announcement for whether it's a Clearnetworx or whether it's a WKRP employee that we need a producer for the show.
Yeah,
because Dennis is clearly not capable.
I don't want this to get too good.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't want it to be professional.
The imperfection is part of the perfection.
There's a lot of expectation if it's professional.
It's a lot better if you like say it that way too.
Yeah.
We make mistakes on purpose.
Yeah.
No. There's no it's not. It's definitely not on purpose.
No,
it's the fact that I can't remember to do something, or like can't be bothered with the fact that okay, let me take a second. Well, hey, Casey, it's good to see you on the really nice couch.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird. You're coming in the middle. Like we've already done several of these, but
this is number 10, I believe.
But yet you're like. As far as employee numbers,
deeply offended that I wasn't number one.
Well, Rebecca, that's on you.
Yeah, Rebecca, that's your fault.
Right.
But
we take no responsibility on our own that we could have asked.
No, we don't do that.
Okay.
So, Casey, you are the Director of Business Development.
My official title is intern.
Intern, I like that. It's on a probationary period every day.
I'll say this then. You are one of the world's longest serving interns because you have been with the company for...
I've been told that this is the typical length for an internship program, unpaid. That's what I've heard.
Right.
Doug, at least that was right.
You know what? We're going to have to call the Department of Labor, I think, because Casey's being exploited here. We're exploring this live. But you've been with the company 13 years, is that right?
Yeah, somewhere in that time frame.
Since the company began, essentially, right?
Since Clearnetworx, yeah, just a little bit before Clearnetworx was officially started.
Wow, so you actually predate the company.
That's right.
Wow.
So, is there like we brought this up in a previous episode? Now that you've gotten to a certain number, should we start like having like employee number 2, employee number 200?
You'd be number 2, I assume.
Yeah, I don't know how all that works because we have the 2 companies, and a lot of us have, we're employed by one or employed by the other. I think in my case, I started obviously as a deeply digital employee. Somewhere throughout that process, I transitioned to Clearnetworx. I have no idea when.
Right.
I could be, the 130th employee for all I know.
That's in terms of seniority.
From an HR standpoint, yeah.
Right. Maybe best to leave the numbers then.
No. I like it. Listen, Casey, I know this was not part of the intent of Clearnetworx in doing this, but I have loved trying to create some infighting in your company.
I know.
And I'm sorely disappointed that I'm not being very successful either.
I think the phrase is healthy competition between employees.
Yeah, no, I like infighting. Yeah. Like, there's a little bit of like anytime there's a little bit of contention, I feel like it keeps everybody on their toes and paying attention.
Yeah,
and
like playful though.
Yeah.
So
no.
Employee number 2 officially, I think actually technically is Cameron. And if you ever have Cameron on, his official title is Casey's assistant. And don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. So maybe there's a little bit of infighting.
That'll be. Yeah.
This is off to a great start.
Yeah.
So we've known each other for a while, and there's been several updates to you personally in our relationship. One, you got married.
Yeah.
But that was a while ago.
That 4.5 years ago.
Yeah. And is the family growing?
It is by 1 in April.
Okay.
So I've got a son, Hayes.
Okay.
Pretty exciting.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
I can imagine. That's a big milestone in in most people's lives.
Don't act. You know what? Listen, we're going to stop this. You cannot play both sides of the coin. You can't be the guy that was happy when to talk to Jordan and be like, "Hey, we're both guys that don't have kids," and then try to relate to Casey and I's conversation about having a family.
I'm sure it's going to be exciting for you. I remember when I got. I remember the day I brought my cat home. That was an
nobody cares.
time,
We're moving on.
That's what parents love to hear is relating it to a pet.
Okay, so what all in your mind in this short period of time you're married, you're about to grow your family, in a longer period of time you've grown your Clearnetworx family.
Sure.
That was such a smooth segue.
Yeah. I'm glad we had that conversation in pre-production.
I'm not horrible at this.
Don't honestly.
Put it that way.
If you don't start that rumor that we actually plan this stuff.
But seriously, so talk about the difference of your company family. It's grown. It's now past like what you could cousins and brothers and sisters and cousins. And is there any relationship there? Like how do you look at that? How do you address those two things?
Yeah, I think it's fun. Like we went through a stage when I started. I think there was 5 employees in total, right? And we were all on the deeply digital side. We were doing IT stuff, and somewhere through that process, it was probably I don't know, maybe year 5 or something like that. Like you stop knowing the name of like every employee that gets hired, right? And you're like, who's that? Mm-hmm. And then you kind of go through this like new thing where like we're hiring so many new employees, which is cool from a growth perspective. But people walk in the front door and you're like, oh, can I help you? And they're like, well, I work here. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, you're like, that's
shame on me. Shame.
Yeah.
Shame.
Through that transition, right? There's obviously some guilt associated with that because you're like, well, I would like to know all those people, but the reality is like that's nearly impossible. Like, I would spend all my time, and surely they don't want to spend all their time, getting their job, relates to me almost in no way in some cases. Right. So, what's the point of sitting down and talking with me?
I guess as long as that doesn't happen at home, right? Like somebody walks through the door and you're like,
do you work here? Or?
Hey, how can I help you?
It's very feasible to have cousins you don't see for a long time.
Yeah.
And, you meet up with them and go, I don't recognize that person. Oh. You definitely don't know them. You might not even recognize. Last time you saw somebody, they might have been 8 years old. That can happen too.
Okay. You just took the whole fun out of that conversation. That was simply meant to be a joke.
I think the cool part about the growth, like one thing I will say is, I think with a company that's growing typically at that size or our size, you also see a fair amount of, turnover. Like, the people you started the company with or the people that you were working with in the very beginning aren't necessarily there anymore. I think we've been lucky enough to like continue to hold on to a lot of those people. So like I was, poking fun at Cameron. Cameron's been there since day one, Lanham. Plenty of other employees have been there since, the very, very beginning or near very beginning. And it's been cool to build something slow, closely with that crew instead of kind of feeling like you're in this cycle of like, well, we're growing something, but it's like, I got to find a new group to do it with every year. Or
how would the growth of the company have been affected if the turnover was much higher? I'm assuming you wouldn't necessarily be in the position you're in now if you're constantly hiring new employees and, that cohesion is lost, right? When people leave the company.
Yeah. So, well, and the vision, like we, talked about the vision before we started rolling, but that's like a key thing for people to buy into is like understanding where we're going and wanting to grasp onto that. And, we're all pushing in the same direction instead of kind of pulling in different directions. So that's been huge. I mean, that's obviously, a critical part of the success.
So we're having more business conversations with you than we have with everybody else. Okay. We've forced everybody else to give us some more personal information. I noticed that there was a lot lacking in your profile, and I want to know why. Like there was no personal interest. There were no. It was simply just bragging about like how much money you've helped generate and the growth of the company. Yeah.
That's good to know. I actually didn't do anything for that. So I think. Rebecca, I think, asked me for that, and I was either traveling or...
You ducked your responsibilities. Well, so we're here to hold you responsible. You need to share something with us. What is something, the 200 and how many employees that you guys have now?
260.
That sounds right.
Ish,
It changes every day, right? That's what we target.
Right. So what is something that those 260 out there need to know about Casey, the intern?
It's a great question.
Well, okay. So when you get done, your life's about to change too, right? Because baby's on the way.
No. Baby was born in April.
Oh, baby was born in April, almost a year is
so
what you're saying. I'm celebrating a year.
11 months.
I'm glad I got that correct. So now your life has changed, right? So there used to be maybe some different activities, getting off of work, I go do this. Is it now just come home and be dad?
But yeah, I think, I mean, life or work has been a very big part of my life, and partly because I've grown up with it, right? So I joked about the intern piece, but that's how I started. I was an intern with the company. I started my, I think, junior summer of high school. I was homeschooled, and so I was all done with pretty much my high school credits, and so I went and took some technical classes at the VOTEC, and then wanted to apply those because I thought I wanted to work in computers and networking. And so I called Doug up and just cold call. I didn't know anything about him, but just said, hey, can I come intern? And he said, well, that would be great. And also, would you like a job in like 2 months? Just because he was growing so rapidly. So, work has always been a kind of a fundamental part of my life because I felt very connected to Doug and everything that, we've been trying to build at Clearnetworx. So that's been a huge part of my life and my family's life. So it sounds boring when I say, well, I like to work, but
right.
Truthfully, it's been fun building what we've been building, and that's been a huge part of it. Besides that, doing trips with Kenzie or, that's my wife, and hanging out with Hayes over the past 11 months has been, awesome. We just took him to Mexico. So that
what part of Mexico did you go to?
Puerto Vallarta.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was fun, watching him in the sand. So that's if it's not work related, right? I get to hang out with them, and, we have a great group of friends. We both grew up here. So a good community that we get to be surrounded by and hang out with.
What's been really cool is travel seems to be an important commodity amongst your employees as well, and people, teammates that are part of Clearnetworx. It seems like every profile has had, or a conversation has had a little bit of traveling. It might be cool to have a montage of photos of people traveling and going to different places, where all Clearnetworx goes.
Yeah, and I'm actually not a big traveler. If it was up to me, I'd maybe travel once a year or something like that.
Really?
But Kenzie loves to travel, and I love going with her.
Okay.
And it's fun with Hayes, obviously.
Right.
So, that's been kind of a newer thing. But yeah, I think if it were up to me, I'm a homebody. I like staying around here.
Not me. I got to be moving every so often.
I like to travel, but I mean, we chose to live in this place. So I love living here. So
it is beautiful.
I can. It's a great place to come back to. I love to travel, but coming back to Montrose is just special in Western Colorado, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're at that point now where we go into the rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So we've got some questions for you. The idea is not to overthink them. Just to real quick.
Yeah. Don't think.
Just
speak.
Just answer.
Yeah. Well, actually, you'd be surprised because between the 9 people we've had so far, we've had some people who are very bam, 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 and then other people who, really, they've had to think about it because they can't just rattle something off. So we'll see. We'll see how good you are. But there's 10 of them, and we'll start with, what's your favorite word?
Word? I feel like it's a new one every week.
What's
Steven always
week?
gives me a hard time.
What's this week's word?
Let's call it every month. Bifurcated. I've been using bifurcated a lot.
Okay.
Do you have one of those word of the week?
I don't. I just for some reason I hear something or I I've heard it millennia ago and I'm like I should start integrating that into my vocabulary more.
Hey, gift idea for Casey.
Let's do a little spelling bee thing here. Can you use it in a sentence?
Bifurcation.
Bifurcated?
Yeah.
Like bifurcate the conversation or bifurcate the department.
There you go.
Splitting up kind of the conversation or the department on task.
So you just taught Dennis a new word.
The buildings at Clearnetworx have been bifurcated.
Yeah, they were never really together, right? So I think bifurcated is kind of like the pulling apart of one thing into two, right?
Well, even so, what he's getting at is one of the interviews we did earlier was talking
East side,
about
west side.
the kind of this faux division between the east side and the west side. And
West
frankly,
side.
some of those east siders parking on the west side of the building, it's not going down too well with a couple of people.
Oh, let me just talk to that for a second.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to park anywhere. Ever. So
I know, but every time I drive past the building, it's just completely feels like it's surrounded by vehicles. But all right, next question. What sound or noise do you love?
Sound or noise?
Mm-hmm. You see, it's not quite as easy as you think, right?
The sound of like a sound machine at night.
Okay,
Like
white noise
machine.
White noise.
Okay, yeah.
There you go.
All right, next one. What motivates you?
I think relationship, like, you know, I talked about that earlier, but building something cool with a team, like that's super motivating. I think that's why we've all worked together so well and had so much fun. But just the inner relationship we have with, you know, each other and kind of like the combined goals. I think that's what's been motivating for us.
Perfect. Next one. What's your favorite food?
Chicken wings.
All right.
Ooh, that's a new one.
That's a new one.
Yeah. Is hot dog a sandwich?
No.
There we go.
How many holes does a straw have?
2.
All right. Very confident with that
Yeah.
one. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt or be proficient at?
I think anything related to business. I think, you know, the more... Am I supposed to rapid fire these?
You were.
up
I mean,
to
you
you.
decided to go in depth. Go ahead.
up
We're
to
not going
you.
to cut you off.
All right, here we go. It's too late.
Yeah.
I think, you know, as I've gotten more into the business side, like the finance, the operations, how to scale the business, you learn that there's these key things that are kind of critical for every business, regardless of like what industry you're in. And so I think, you know, the challenge at someday would be fun to be like, okay, well, I can take the things I've learned and go apply that, you know, to any business, regardless of industry. Obviously, there's industry things that help immensely. Yeah. But I think, you know, being able to scale a business is like kind of an art form within its own. And it's been fun learning and applying that side. So
what other industry then would you like to apply this stuff to, if you could?
Entertainment. When I was young, I really wanted to go into entertainment and media of some kind. And I originally wanted to study marketing and stuff like that. So I think something entertainment related would be a ton of fun.
Okay. And related to that, what profession would you never want to do?
Intern.
Not again.
Man, that's a great question.
Casey doesn't have anything that he wouldn't do. The man is a jack of all trades and willing to do them all.
Yeah, I think there's like pros and cons with everything, but like with Clearnetworx, we have a construction company. We have like the back office side. We have like the front office side. So like at this point, I've done pretty much every job that's been available at that company.
Right.
So I've done customer facing stuff. I've done back office stuff. I've done like, you know, installations. Like I think with each one, there's like rewarding stuff and stuff that just frustrates the heck out of you. Mm-hmm. So I can't say that there's like one thing.
So the most common answer to that question was basically toilet cleaning.
Yeah.
But I feel like
that's a very nuanced position. Like
but I also feel like you've cleaned a few toilets in your time.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what is your guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure. Probably video games.
Video games. Is there a favorite video game?
Yeah, I'll play like Apex.
Okay.
That's actually the only one.
I have no idea what that is.
It's
I was thinking like Tecmo Bowl or
I don't play that much video games, but if I do, it's like, you know, me and my friends get online for a couple hours on the weekend. Yeah. And we play that one game, and that's pretty much all we do.
Okay.
Yeah. Last question. Go on, Dennis. You want to field this?
So if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Well, for me, I mean, heaven does exist. And, you know, I think religion has been a big part, or I say religion, but God has been a big part of the success of the company. And I hope that God says we use the company to help people, because I think that that's always been a mission of ours, is not really to just put, you know, we've said putting conduit in the ground is maybe a disguise for ultimately if we can build a business that is able to enable people, support people, grow people like me, right? I'm the intern, and I get to do business development stuff. I get to work with investors and, you know, these, you know, millions of dollars of capital, and we help allocate that, invest that into my hometown and our Western Slope communities. I hope that, you know, at the end of the day, you know, God's able to say like, hey,
you did well.
You were diligent with using this company for my kingdom.
I like it.
Nice answer.
All right.
Well done. All right. So we're at the end. This is now turned into options.
Oh, but this could be good.
This could be good
because you probably have answers for all of the following.
This could be a drum roll moment. I don't know. So the options are a Dougism, or what would
Casey can do them all.
Well, that's true.
Just rapid fire at Doug.
Okay. Doug, do you have a Dougism?
Yeah. I'm sure this has been said before, but has anyone said we'll figure it out?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
No. Oh, that's the most common Doug.
You know what? That's not true. That's not true.
I think they've
somebody
mentioned it in
somebody
passing,
referenced to
maybe.
it, like the idea that Doug says we're going to go do something,
Yes.
but doesn't necessarily know
Right.
how
It's
we're
we'll
going to
figure
get
it
there.
out. Yeah. But then the
Yeah.
answer to that. So he goes and says, we're going to go do, 3x what we did last year. We need to go do this. And
How are we
everyone
going to do
goes,
that?
That's like crazy. No other company's doing
Right.
that. How are we supposed to do that? And he goes, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
That's the
I like
that
it.
you could put that on a T-shirt, right?
So that's a Dougism.
That was the
quote.
plan, is to put it on
Yeah.
a T-shirt. Yeah.
What is the most recent "What would Doug do" moment that you can think of?
What would Doug do?
when you're in a situation and you don't quite know the answer, and you think, what would Doug do?
Or you've even seen, a teammate of Clearnetworx try to like work through what would Doug do in this moment.
Doug, yeah. So I think we're always trying to think through how would Doug handle a relationship conversation, because if there's anything that Doug does well, it's the relationship side, and being able to like pause for a second and just explain, hey, this is how, I see how you see it, and here's how I see it, and he's willing to take 2 or 3 days to have that conversation with you, right? I think most people are like ready to move on within the next 15 minutes. They're like, look, if you don't see it my way, then it doesn't really matter because I'm in charge. But, the best thing about Doug, and I think why people like him so much, is like he will just spend the time to like hear it your way, understand it, make sure you feel like he understands it, and then, go and explain it 1,000 different ways in his way. So I think when we all say, what would Doug do, or how would Doug handle this conversation, it's usually we're like, okay, this is frustrating. They're not seeing how I would want to see it, but what would Doug do? He'd probably spend the next 4 hours, just making sure that they feel heard.
I think Doug's going to be really happy when he watches these back to know that that is making its way through the company. People understand that, and they hear it, and they try to mimic it for sure.
I have this vision of Doug like just shedding a tiny tear of joy when he hears all of these clips of people saying what a great guy he is.
Okay, last one. You can either shout somebody, like, give somebody a shout out for doing the great work that they've been doing. Give a shout out to, like, hey, maybe we could do better at this.
Well, yeah, this is your opportunity to speak to everyone who watches this video and take this opportunity to do whatever you like.
Or you can challenge somebody to come sit on the Wheelie Nice couch, because we don't have everybody, obviously scheduled yet.
Yeah. I don't know who you've interviewed. I'll give a shout out, and then I would say if you haven't talked to him, you should. He'd be great. David Sneesby.
David was number one.
Yeah.
Was he really?
Yeah.
David was the first one.
Okay, well, I don't feel as bad about being replaced at number one.
And David was great. David was good.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, David's awesome. And I've always kind of jokingly said, if David ever left the company, I would quit that day. I mean, he's just so talented at what he does.
Sneesby has some power then. He knows if he leaves, he's taking you with him.
I said jokingly said, I would have to. It would be a game time decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was great about David in my mind was that he seems innately confident in what he does, and so when he sat down on the couch, us trying to be comedic with him, it was very matter of factly, and I really appreciated that and liked it. So
David's awesome and just a superstar. I mean, he.
So is that your shout out? And
no, that was a
now you
recommendation, right?
That was supposed to be your
That was both, I guess. I was saying shout out to David because he's super talented and awesome. But if you guys you already had him on. It sounds like so.
Anybody else that should be on the Wheelie Nice couch? Who do you think in the company is going to least want to sit in that seat?
Least want to sit?
Yeah. We don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable, but ask around.
Because here's the reason why I say that is because I would be willing to bet that the person that least wants to sit in that seat might have one of the best interviews.
Yeah.
And I think that would be really interesting for me, at least.
That's going to be Rebecca's job too, of course, to persuade Rebecca and Madison to persuade those people who are reluctant.
I was going to say Madison would be pretty reluctant, I think, to sit in the chair.
Madison, you're on blast.
Yeah.
You're up. Rebecca.
She'd be a great conversation.
All right.
And we've already told Rebecca, right, that she's not going to get out of this, right? Or
no, absolutely not. Neither of them. They have to.
Both of them.
They're largely responsible for making everyone else do it. So
okay. Well, Casey, man, I always appreciate getting a chance to spend time with you. It's been great knowing you over these years, and thank you for being a big part of the reason why we get to do this. So
fun.
We're very excited about it. All right, everybody, that's another episode of Clearly Interesting People with Clearnetworx and WKRP. We'll see you again soon.